What should we build?
What's
Maybe
on
a
the table?
possum pocket? Ooh, you stink. Oh man, that thing could have totally bit me on the nose. Look at him blowing bubbles out of his nose. Come here. Hello. Hello. Hello, little possum. They always do that. He'll chomp the shit out of you. Man, you always look so mad. What should we build? I'm going to show you a very simple way to build a pocket. This one happens to be a magazine pouch. Just going to take this Cordura, sew it. Now there's a couple ways you can do this, right? This could be a back and a lid, or it could just be the back. We're doing an open top mag pouch. So you could take this right here, put a piece of webbing down the middle, or edge tape to conceal this here, and then use this as the back and the lid or whatever you want to do. I'm not doing that. I'm going to instead take this and make a hem right here, and in effect we will, this is 2 layers here. When it folds over it'll be 4 layers of Cordura, so I'm going to meet this one here, make a nice clean back. Where I folded that over, I'm going to go ahead and run the stitch line down here and then right here. Now you can put a line down the middle of this. I'm not going to, because I'm going to put pals on here, which will in effect put a line down there. Now what I've done here is I've made the back of this magazine pouch. We just shot a video for these mag pouches for these big shotgun mags, the Vepr and the, what's the other
Origin
thing?
12.
Origin 12. So that'll go there. Now, I'm going to put this on the inside or the outside. I'm gonna show you a couple ways to do this. So, I don't have my PALS webbing cut for this. Your typical footprint of an M4 mag is going to be 3 inches. If you do your mags at 3 inches wide and use your math off of 3 inches, it typically always works. This, you could get away at 3.5. 3 3/4 works better. So I've got my pals right here. I just went and stole a lighter from one of my guys out there, and I'm gonna go ahead and sear this edge right here. I know a lot of you guys have hot cutters and hot knives and rope cutters, all kinds of shit, but some of you guys are just starting out. Learn how to use this lighter, and you'll always be able to do this no matter what, even when your piece of equipment burns out or before you can, you know, afford that stuff. So right here, I'm going to start this right down 1 inch. I use this because I know that webbing's 1 inch. I only burned one edge of this webbing because we're going to cut it off and hot knife the other edge clean. And I'm going to go 2 rows, 2 pieces of webbing, blank. I'm going to use this as my gauge right there. You don't really need to back tack these like I'm doing, because we're going to catch it when we put the face on anyway, so it's going to sew through there, but out of habit I just do it. And I'm going to go ahead and find the center. I'm at 9, so 4.5 right there. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up and get it straight where I want it, holding both of them, and the needle strike in. And these ones you definitely want to tack in more than, you know, a single line, because you're not going to catch this with the front of the mag pouch when you put it on. Put my gauge in here, make sure my spacing's where I want it, just like so. Travel to the bottom, run across, level this up where I want it. Go ahead and put my gauge in there, or a piece of webbing, whatever you're using. when you're putting Molly on or Fields of Pals webbing like this, and you're not running like 2-2, if you're doing like a modular rig or something, you want to make sure that you're even, because when you come off, if you shift a little and you shift a little each one and you've got 4 or 5 rows, by the time you get to the last one, you might be off by a 1/2 inch, 3/4. So get good at this in the beginning. You'll always be able to do this shit. Once you get good at it, you can almost look at it like you have a calibrated eye. You'll know when it's off without even measuring it. So we'll cut those off. Normally I'd use a Weller soldering gun. The bigger ones, the 300-watt ones, 200, 300. It has a flat blade in there, so you can just catch these perfectly really fast. Now, when you look on Amazon and stuff and you see that soldering gun, you'll see like a 150/200, and you'll see like a 200/300. Get that 200/300. It is so much faster. And I know it's only a couple seconds. All that shit adds up, especially when you're holding that hot gun and you have dozens of pieces you're burning. Get the better one. Okay, so there's the back of that magazine pouch. It's not super rigid, but it functions well. Now this one here, I want a super clean, because the mags have some ridges and stuff, right? So I'm just going to come right here. There's a lot of ways you could do this. I don't want edge tape on these, especially anything like AK or anything. I don't want edge tape where that magazine touches, because inevitably you're going to eat that edge tape up. So if you build them this way, and the way I'm doing this here, this could be your top edge. And then when your magazine pulls out, there's nothing to catch on. You could put webbing on the outside to make it more rigid if you wanted to. But I'm actually going to do this upside down, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. This piece here, I'm going to fold over. And you could put a piece of webbing in here or whatever you want. I did not. I built 4 of these last night and built 3 of them early this morning for a video and photo shoot that we already did. I am leaving this as the top where the mag comes in and out. There's not really a locking lug or anything on these mags, and I want this more rigid at the top. So I'm going to make a very small hem here. Same thing, opposite side. Now these mag pouches, it's a very, they're pretty unique guns. You could stack this mag pouch if you wanted to. I wouldn't with these big giant shotgun mags, but you could stack it. You could put pistols on there or Pals webbing, so you could add other stuff. We did not on these, just the application that we were doing. I'm going to take this piece of webbing here, and what this is just 2.5 inches. This is just a place to attach the bungee, because these have bungee retention on them. You could do grommets, you could do all kinds of shit, but this worked well. We've already tried this out. I'm going to find center right here. It's roughly 6.5, so 3 1/4. And this is literally just here to run a piece of bungee through. I'm sewing green thread, black webbing. The black kind of goes good on the woodland. You can do whatever you want, whether it be green or coyote. But I've got green thread in here so that you can kind of see it as I put this together. It kind of stands out on the film here. Do we call it film anymore? It's not film, right?
No.
Have you ever
Got it on tape?
Have you ever done anything that was filmed?
Yeah, I have like.
All right, I gotta get a piece of 3-inch webbing. I'll be right back. You could do this with 2-inch also.
Like to get you out on like an 80s jet ski with a gun.
That would be awesome if we could find an 80s jet ski.
They're everywhere. They just don't run.
Marketplace.
That would be
We'll
even
find
better.
one.
Well, it would be better if I was on an 80s jet ski
Getting
with a gun.
pulled behind a boat.
Right? And then Johnson and Poe pulling me.
Are you rolling?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just look on Marketplace and type in jet ski, but most of the ads are guys are like, I will trade 2 goats and a broken jet ski for a 2025 or newer Toyota truck. Okay, so this is going to be on the face right here. I happen to know that I need 1.5 inches, so I want 1 inch on the back of the mag and 1 inch on the front of the mag, or roughly, right? So about 1.5 inches. I'm just giving my marks. And I know I need to center this out, this with 3-inch webbing. Some of your webbings, when you look at them, they might not be true 3-inch or 2-inch or whatever. So check that, be aware of that. If you're measuring in inches and it doesn't fit in there perfectly where you can cut it in half, use centimeters like it's exactly 17, so I'm going to go 8.5 right here, and I know that I need this probably 1 inch up, so there's that mark. I know that this is the center right here. Perfect. You can put this to the inside, you can put it to the outside, you do whatever you want to do. I want them on the outside so that the mag can't catch, there's no lip inside. You can totally make it look cleaner. You can put it on the inside. If you're putting Velcro liner for like Velcro dot retention, you can put your webbing on the inside, then put Velcro, and then it travels and it doesn't catch the lip. If you want this a little cleaner, you could make your webbing longer and sew it like so that that raw edge isn't there, the scab's not exposed. That's just up to you, however you're going to do yours. And then right here, I want this piece right there and here. Now you can hold this here and start sewing right there, but by the time you get there, you're gonna have some stretch or whatever. So I'm not as strong on this side, so I'm just gonna needle strike it in so I don't get the shift right there, a couple inches, sew down, and then I'm gonna turn it around and come back. There. And then I'm stronger on this side. I'm better on this side. So I'll start there at the bottom. Which makes no sense. I'm going the same direction. The work's just on the other side of the foot, but I actually forgot to, I think I can still do it. I think that's where it needs to be.
It'll either work perfectly or not at all.
We'll just tell them it works perfectly either way. Works 100% of the time, 50% of the time. This just kind of gives it the shape. It makes the pocket look better, really, in photos. When the mag's in there, it's going to look exactly the same either way. Just looks, it's a little cleaner product this way. Looks more intentional. Looks more expensive this way. A lot of guys do a lot of shit, have no idea why they do it. They do it literally because the other guy who they looked at and copied or you know, started the research on. That's because they did it that way. They don't know why they're doing it. But looks better. Maybe you can take some photos of the pictures we already took and kind of work them in here. There it is. That's the mag pouch. Holds a ridiculously tall AK type shotgun mag. This is my, I'll go ahead and do the bungee pull. This is how I do my bungee pulls. This piece of webbing is 11 inches. And I take it, quad it, you know, fold it in half, back into the center, and then fold it like that, right? And then I'm going to start about half. I want a little more than half on the top, which makes the pull tab. Tack it in there, come around. Cut these out so I don't have to fight them later. While I'm down here, I might as well make it clean and travel that stitch line. You could do them right at half and they'll work well. You can make yours taller, shorter, whatever you want. There's companies out there making plastic and stuff that make a manufactured pull tab if you want to use those. Now I'm just making a channel that bungee is going to go through. And the reason I make these like this is because they'll sit flat on top of a flat mag, but on an AK mag that's kind of curved, they'll catch that corner perfectly and they'll work on those type of mags. I think a lot of guys, when they started building stuff, would do things differently, and they didn't do them differently because it made it better. They did them differently so that it didn't look like they were copying something else. Okay. There's that bungee. Got those little channels. So this is going to run right through here. I think it's going to run through there. And then here, for the tall 10 round mag, and that 10 round mag is really tall. It's probably, what, 11, 12 inches maybe? It's big. I'm going to tie it in this first bar. For the 5 rounder, you can tie it further down. You can also just tie it and then girth hitch it if you want to. But we gave them enough bungee that it'll run for either one. And I wouldn't cut it off, I would just move it down, and then you're going to just attach it with malice clips or whatever your favorite attachment method is. There's that magazine pouch. Now, these mags, because they're long, they work really well on our little modular subload, and I'm going to show you that. So this thing works out to be, what is this? This is 11 by 8. So this thing works out to be 6 by 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so you could make your hem smaller, but we have a lot of people on the floor that it's not as easy. It's easier to make a bigger hem. So these marks are at 2 inches because when it folds in, you lose 1 inch on each side. So we just make these marks at 2 inches instead of 1 inch. So it makes a 1 inch hem instead of a 1/2 inch. That's our compressor running. The compressor runs some of our air compressed cutters and a few other things in there. These are Crayola colored pencils. If you go to Walmart, you'll see Rose Art, you'll see Crayola. Rose Art costs less, that's because it is less. Yes, you can use a automatic pencil sharpener. An electric pencil sharpener sharpens the lead very sharp, and then as soon as you go to use it, it breaks off half the lead. So if you're using an electric pencil sharpener, the pencil will literally last at less than half of its life. Just get you a razor blade, get used to that. Yes, you can get Taylor's chalk, you can get all kinds of shit. The colored pencil just works super well. So this here, to make a 1 inch hem, I've made a 2 inch mark. I'm just going to fold this right into that line, and I'm just going to sew right around the perimeter. And then come to the edge and back up and then come like this. Or you can just come in here, and I'm kind of pulling, right? I'm pulling taut, and then I can just move it to where I need it to be. So I can also come in, not come to the edge, and just kind of fold it in and make it fit. Just like that. You can also go around and sew this if you want to, but we're concealing all of it. You don't really need to. You could also sew this together inside out and flip it, but this is a little faster. Our pistol mags we actually sew inside out and then pop them and then put something inside them to make them a little more rigid. Just because we've always done them that way. Why do we do them that way? Because Eagle did it. Why did Blackhawk do it? Because they copied Eagle stitch for stitch. So we always have. It doesn't need the liner. It doesn't need to be stiffer. You're literally attaching it to other shit, and the things you put in it are going to make it stiff. Eagle used to use 1050 realistic nylon, so we did. And then years later, we started using Cordura. We used to take anything that was a back panel for a subload, and we would make 1-inch marks and then connect them so it was 1 inch by 1 inch. And then one day I thought, wow, this is a lot of fucking work marking these. So we just found center and used a gauge, right? Whether it be 1.5 inches or this ruler. I know that if I mark off this ruler, it comes out perfectly 1.5 inches. Why were we doing them 1 inch? Because that's what John Carver did when he built his first. So I just thought that was how they needed to be. A lot of people do a lot of shit simply because the piece of gear they looked at had that on there. They don't know why they're doing it. We really don't even make money on pistol mag pouches. We sell pistol mag pouches because if we don't sell pistol mag pouches, the customer will go to another company to buy them, and while they're at the other company's site, they'll buy something since they're already paying shipping there. I need some plastic buckles. This is the leg strap. You'll see in a few minutes why I put that on there like that. I'm just kind of setting all my pieces right now. Otherwise you got to go back and cut it open. That's the other part of the leg strap. Nope, I'm about to mess this up. That goes on the elastic. This is the other part of the leg strap. This is a very simplistic leg strap. Doesn't take a lot. You'll see in a minute here. Tack that in. I did not tack that elastic in. I am aware of that. These are the attachment pieces that you're going to attach the little hangers to. And again, you can make your hangers way more robust if you want to. You can put 2 inch or whatever. The 1 inch takes less real estate on the belt. A guy using this or a patrol officer or whatever can have these, and then when he needs this, he can have the other end of the 1 inch hangers on his belt, and it's not taking up a lot of real estate. You won't really know it's there. You put two 2 inch hangers on there, that takes up 4 inches of real estate. I'm going to go ahead and try this out now so I can catch that elastic that I didn't tack in well. That panel for the most part is done. Now we're just going to take it and put our webbing on the face of it. I am missing a piece of webbing. That I want this one centered. You can take 2 hash marks and then connect your line. I've been doing this long enough, I can do this without doing that. Then I know that I want this centered here. It's 22 inches, 11. I'm going to make this right here. And I know that if I put this here and cover for the most part that line, that this is going to give me exactly 1.5, and that's going to make my marks where I'm going to sew my PALS channels so that you can attach all your malice clips or whatever. There we go. None of these are cut. None of these are burned. You could make this smaller, right? I've just got this up top here. You could have totally cut that off and just made this exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of 6. Why is that extra ½ inch there? Because that's how I built it. You don't have to have it. Whatever you attach there is going to make it solid anyways. Got this other piece of webbing here which will become one of the top hangers, but I'm just going to use it as a gauge right here. When you're learning how to do PALS webbing like this, you might not want to do every row. You might want to skip a few. Instead of doing this one, do this one, just so that you don't have shift, right? So that you're working and everything's nice and even, and then you can come back and catch the ones in the middle, like that. Like so, and then you'll want to turn, right, because you've moved. Just be aware when you do that the end result might be a little wavy because you sewed the opposite direction when you turn the work. So many companies would do PALS field. It takes a long time to do this, but you can do it without special equipment. There was guys running $40,000-$50,000 machines that would have a clamp and the head would move and all kinds of shit just to do what it is I'm doing right here. Now these, you could cut these shorter. I'm not going to. We're just going to bend them under and conceal it right here. Now when I get to this elastic, it's going to kind of want to, it's thicker there, so you're going to want to travel up slowly on that so you don't have shift, because it will knock your work out of line. See, I'm lifting up, letting the tension off that. Push the work. Same thing's going to happen here, but a little worse. So, actually, that one is a little longer. We're almost done here, guys. Go ahead and throw my gauge in there. You think they can hear those guinea birds on the camera?
They heard, somebody heard the roosters one time.
Did they? Now you can go, like I'm going 1, 2, 3. You can go 5 if you want. Again, a ton of people do a lot of shit because they counted the number somebody else did. Why did the other guy do it? Because that's what was programmed in the machine. We've never had them come off at 5. We've never had them come off at 3. Materials are so good now. People just don't know to, they just think that more thread in something is better, and kind of, but the more times you strike that with a needle also, the more times it perforates and weakens the material that you're sewing it to. It's pretty good, huh? All right.
Perfect like always.
Now this, okay, the leg strap. I'm going to take this piece right here, and I've got this flat, and I'm going to fold this and make sure it's flat. I don't have any excess bow here. I'm going to take this and just tack it in here. Like that. Now when you're sewing that elastic, it's spongy. It wants to stutter. Just take it slow. Same thing there. I'll show you what I'm doing here. Now, I'm going to take this piece and sew it back over. What this has done is it's made 2 layers of elastic. Why do we have 2? In case you cut the top. The weakest point in this whole product is this elastic. If it eventually dry rots and fails or whatever, you still have attachment. If you cut this, you've got attachment. A lot of our bigger subloads and our older holsters, we make these leg straps separate, and then they velcro into place so that you can swap them left or right, so that when it's on your body, the elastic is towards the back of you. That's where it's going to catch the least amount of abrasion when you're breaking brush up against buildings, laying prone, whatever. It's the front that's catching. The elastic is still somewhat protected towards the rear, and that's why we do them that way. Also, if you have a lifetime warranty on your product, sooner or later that elastic is going to fail. That's the weakest point. So with that leg strap being removable, you can warranty that or sell them a new leg strap that they can change on their own without you having to cut it apart. Put a tri-glide. This is a tri-glide right here. In the front, out the back. Same thing here. In the front, out the back. And then this is going to come back through this tri-glide. And then you're going to get it set to where you want it, and then you're going to double bypass it. This is locking it right here. This tail, you can safety pin it, you can riggers tape it, you can gaffer tape it, whatever. Piece of inner tube. When you have a really long tail, don't cut that off. With that really long tail, just secure it, and then you have it if you get fat or you're wearing a dry suit, a wetsuit, mop gear, cold weather gear, whatever. You have the ability to use it, or if you later sell it to somebody bigger than yourself. Now I'm going to make the 2 hangers, and then this is done. These are very simple. Normally for most of our hangers we use 2-inch scuba webbing. For this system right here, we're just using this. Now, this rig right here is the platform we used for several things. We did a dual pistol with dual flashbangs. We did a triple flashbang. We had a few things that used this panel set. And then we had a modular panel set early on, even when we were in Oceanside, when the modular gear first came out, Molly and stuff. And it didn't do a lot of movement. We actually took it out of the catalog, took it offline. When Chris Costa designed I think his was a dual rifle and 2 pistols maybe, and London Bridge was building it, I think, and then, or HSGI built it, and then LBX built it. I don't know who Chris has a deal with right now, but he basically 20 years later there was a market for this thing because of Chris. Guys really wanted them. HSGI couldn't build them fast enough, so we brought our modular rig back out, and you could put stacked mags, so you could have 4 rifle mags, or we put singles. And a lot of guys already had those pouches from Frisbee Gear and all kinds of stuff, so we gave them a panel, and we sold hundreds of these things when we dropped them back. It's just the market wasn't ready for it when we built them originally. And then when Chris built his had dedicated mag pouches sewn in place. When we brought our modular out, because there was a market at that point, we sold way more 20 years later than we did when we first brought the product to market. We have bags of stuff, hundreds of items sitting in super kit bags out there that are items like that. Stuff we built that thought, and you never know, like you'll build something, you're like, man, we're gonna move thousands of these, and you move like 10. And you'll have them on your website where guys can order them, and it actually gets to be a hassle because once a year some guy builds, wants to buy this thing. So the things that I'm like, yeah, nobody's gonna want these, those are the ones that always move the most. So I got Velcro on the outside. This piece of Velcro on the inside will just be to lock it to a belt. Anything with a Velcro liner, you'll see in a second here how this works. These are actually, these are a little longer, but these are the same way we make all of our belt attachments that go on pouches. Any of our dual pistols or any of our magazine pouches or anything that you buy with a belt attachment, this is the very same. This one's a little longer because it's a hanger. And we actually make a product called a belt attachment, which is this, just a tiny bit shorter. So if you have stuff that has pals on it, or the slotted webbing on there, and you don't want to use malice clips or something like that, or you want to make it a belt attached pouch, that's what we sell these as a pair. Just a little shorter. So these ones are longer because we're actually sewing the buckles onto them. Thank you.
You just broke the 4th wall.
The 4th rule?
4th wall.
4th wall? What's that?
He's not supposed to be there.
Oh. Are you in the spirit
Every
realm?
once in a while, I should probably just have scissors where I cut stuff for you.
That'd be awesome. A squire. A sewing caddy. So that Velcro I was talking about in the beginning, that's on the inside, so it locks onto the inside of any belt that has a Velcro liner. Goes against here, this plugs in. So if your belt's in here, this is Velcro closed here, but these go between your body and that belt, that sucker's never coming off of there. It's just not happening. So there's that. And best comment in the comments, I'll reach out to you and we'll send you this, the best comment. Leave your last order number. That way we actually know it's you when because I don't have a way to contact you through YouTube, right? So if I leave a comment on your page and I'm like, hey, reach out to me, some other asshole that sees that will reach out as though he's you. I don't have a way, because none of you guys for some reason use your real names on any of your social media. So best comment, we'll send this to you. And if you like this video, leave some comments for us. I do a live every night at 9 o'clock on YouTube. We walk around the shop, talk about gear, politics, homesteading, prepping, family, whatever you want to talk about. If you want to support us, like these videos obviously are free. We have a membership on YouTube. There's $1, $5, and $10 level. At the $10 level, you get our podcast, Pulling the Thread, as a current event. We filmed one today, a couple hours typically, and you get access to that within 2 or 3 days. Don't want to pay for it, no problem. They come out eventually. They run about 6 months behind. Have a Patreon. If you like the Pulling the Thread podcast and you actually want to ask a question that we will answer your question personally on the podcast, that's on our Patreon page. That's $5. And there's some other perks on all those levels as well as Patreon. EMP Shield, right? We have a EMP Shield code. I have a Harvest Right freeze dryer code. All those are typically in the links. Any of you guys use Amazon? Yes, it's the devil, we know. People are lazy though and they use it. If you go to any of our videos, there's an Amazon link or on the website and you just click that, it downloads a cookie. Takes you straight to Amazon, looks like Amazon, smells like Amazon, feels like Amazon, but it takes 1 to 2% away from Amazon and gives it to us. And you do that as a thank you for the free content we put out. So jump on when you see this. Jump on tonight at 9 o'clock on YouTube, and you can personally talk, and we show the gear that we make every day. You want to buy gear? We build everything we can. It all sells faster than we can build it. I live in the middle of nowhere. We hired everybody that we can hire. The way you get our gear is you get on our text app. We send a text every night, and we show you what we built each day. It sells very quickly, like within minutes. And then a couple days a week, towards the end of the week, we send out a email. So make sure you join our text and our email app. We send promos. We do free items a lot of times with your order, and that's how you get those things. So that's it. See you guys.